Hello. In this video, I would like to share more information about evaluating trigonometric functions at angle measures. You should recall that when evaluating a trig function, the input of the function is an angle measure, and the output, or result of the function, is a ratio of side lengths. Suppose we focus on a point P located with an xy coordinate. The angle theta is measured by recognizing the angle in standard position. That is to say that the initial side of the angle sits on the positive x-axis, and the terminal side connects the origin and point P. The length r, which may also represent the radius of a circle whose center is at the origin, can be computed with a simple equation. R equals the square root of the sum of x squared and y squared. The three common trigonometric functions, sine, cosine, and tangent, are defined as the ratios as follows. The sine function evaluated at the theta angle measurement is equal to the y value divided by r. The cosine function evaluated at the theta angle measurement is equal to the x value divided by r. And the tangent function evaluated at the theta angle measurement is equal to the y value divided by the x value. You should notice the x, y, and r measurements are the same as the adjacent, opposite, and hypotenuse side lengths as described in another video. If we were to use a calculator to evaluate tangent of 45 degrees, we get an answer of 1. The ratio of y divided by x, which would be two sides that measure the same length, is equal to 1. When we calculate the cosine of 210 degrees, we get an answer of negative 0.866. This represents the ratio of side length x divided by r. The result is negative since the x position is negative and the length r is positive. We have an end result, therefore, that is negative. When we evaluate sine of negative 30 degrees, we get an answer of negative 0.5, which means the y measurement divided by r is 1/2. Also, the y value is negative in this position. You might have noticed that with this calculator, I must enter the angle first, then press the trig key. Your calculator might be different. Finally, compute cosine at negative 150 and check your answer with mine in just a moment. The result again is negative 0.866. As with the first cosine example, we have an x value that is negative divided by the positive length, r. Some angles are very common, and trig functions can be evaluated at these angles from memory. The most common angles are multiples of 30 and 45. Trigonometric functions for angles that aren't acute have the same value, except possibly for a sine, as the corresponding trigonometric functions of an acute angle. That acute angle will be called the reference angle, and it is shown with the symbol theta bar. Reference angles will allow you to evaluate non-acute angles by first determining its reference angle and adjusting the result with the correct positive or negative sign. Reference angles are simply the acute angle formed by the terminal side of theta and the x-axis. The angle of 315 degrees has a reference angle of 45 degrees. And as seen before, the tangent of 45 degrees is equal to 1. But the correct sign for tangent at 315 degrees is negative, since the y value is negative and the x value is positive in the fourth quadrant, which led to a negative number divided by a positive. For cosine of 210 degrees, we consider the reference angle 30 degrees. Cosine of 30 degrees is commonly recognized as the square root of 3 divided by 2, or 0.866. The sign of cosine of 210 degrees is negative, since the x value in the third quadrant is negative, while the r value is positive. Now consider the last two examples. Determine the reference angle for each and evaluate the function at the reference angle. Then decide on the appropriate sign for the position. Please pause the video now and resume playback in a moment to check your work. The reference angle of 300 degrees is 60 degrees, and sine of 60 degrees is the square root of 3 over 2, or 0.866. The final answer would be reported as a negative value, though, since the y value in the fourth quadrant is negative, while the r value is positive. Finally, the reference angle of 135 degrees is 45 degrees, and cosine evaluated at 45 degrees is commonly recognized as the square root of 2 divided by 2, or 0.707. This would be reported as a negative value, though, since the x value in the second quadrant is negative, while the r value is positive. When using a calculator, reference angles aren't often considered. However, it is good practice to learn and memorize results for common angles, which I'll leave you to research on your own. Good luck.